Hello, everybody. My name is Dan. I am from Canada. We're not a very alpha country. No, our national animal, it's the beaver. Yeah, I don't know if you done your research, but we had other options. We could have had the polar bear. The polar bear was on the menu. We looked at the polar bear. We thought top of the food chain. That's not very Canadian at all. No. Give us something representative. Give us the beaver. Give us a rat with a British face and an American body. Yes. Make him smell French, too. I like being in Europe. When I tell people I'm from Canada in Europe, they always go like, Canadians, you guys are very nice. It's not true. No, Canadians were very sneaky people. Very sneaky. Canadians who invented pineapple on pizza. But then we called it Hawaiian pizza. We just blamed it on the Americans. We learned the blaming from you guys, Europeans. You guys blame stuff on each other all the time. Blame, 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 you know. The most famous example, Austria and Germany with a little mustachy guy. Blame, blame, blame. The only reason I bring up little mustachy guy is because there's a very strong parallel between little mustachy guy and pineapple on pizza. Yeah, both little mustachy guy and pineapple on pizza led to the rise of angry Italians. Mamma mia, that's a good joke. I like being here. I moved to Germany. I do find it's interesting. Germany just legalized marijuana recently, yeah. And at first, I got a little bit worried for the Germans because marijuana makes you silly, and I don't know if they're ready for that, you know? I think that's a big step. It's gonna be confusing, you know? It's gonna be like, weird, is that a silly German or an Austrian? I can't tell. Yeah, but it is different in Europe. It's way more expensive than back home, yeah. My landlord keeps raising my rent. I asked him, I was like, what's going on? And he's like, you should be thankful you have a view to die for. And on a technicality, he's right. I look out the window, I do see a cemetery. I was trying to make a joke to him. I was like, you know, maybe I should just rent a grave in the cemetery. And he's like, if you can't afford to live here, you can't afford to die here either. And he's right. I did the research. I went on the cemetery's website. And you know, people complain about the cost of living, but in Europe it's very expensive to die as well. Oh my God. If I wanted like a nice burial, like a nice plot of land in the middle of the cemetery, I would need like a roommate or something, you know? It's gonna be like, here lies Dan Belkin and Jack Shmulevich from Graveshare. Graveshare, you don't have to die alone. But then I thought about it, I was like, no, I think I do have a way to afford a really nice burial. I started thinking outside the box. I have a very common name, Dan Belkin, and when I Google my name, all these other Dan Belkins come up. And I thought, okay, separately, we might be broke Dan Belkins, but if we pool our resources together, we could afford like a pyramid or something in the middle of the cemetery. It would just say, here lie a bunch of Dan Belkins, some more successful than others. And then we just list our names in order of contribution. But of course it would be Dan Belkin, Dan Belkin, Dan Belkin, Dan Belkin. So it is a pyramid scheme. There's two main Dan, when I Google myself, there's two main Dan Belkins. The first guy, he's like an award-winning short filmmaker, and the other guy is like a very successful dermatologist. So I decided to email the filmmaker I wanted to share with you guys. I said, dear New York filmmaker Dan Belkin, my name is also Dan Belkin, and I'm also an artiste. Not as successful as you, because when I Google my name, your information comes up. It's cool though, I think there can be two very successful Dan Belkins, so you don't have to change your name. Ha 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 ha. That was a joke, I'm a comedian, I can never turn it off. P.S. Wouldn't it be funny if a filmmaker and a comedian shared a grave, hashtag graveshare. My favorite part, though, is he replied to my stupid email. He wrote back to me. He said, dear comedian Dan Belkin, this is a very strange email. First of all, I see your point about us having the same name, which is why I'm trademarking the name Dan Belkin. Ha 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 ha. I'm kidding, maybe I should be a comedian. And then he said, P.S., why don't you go harass this guy? And he pasted in a link to the website of dermatologist Dr. Dan Belkin. So then I went on the website of dermatologist Dr. Dan Belkin. He has a contact form. By the way, he's a very successful guy. He's more successful than me and the filmmaker combined. I've said his name a bunch of times. You're going to receive ads to his services after the show. He's on TikTok. He's dancing. He's popping zits. He's disgusting. But I went on his contact form. I wrote, Dear Dr. Dan Belkin, my name is also Dan Belkin, but don't worry, this is not about a trademark lawsuit. I just wanted to say that I saw your videos on TikTok and I'm not impressed. I think there's a lot that can be improved, including video quality and angle selection. In fact, I think we should collaborate. I'm a little bit of a video guy myself. And then I pasted in a link to the website of award-winning short filmmaker Dan Belkin. And I said, P.S., wouldn't it be funny if a filmmaker and a dermatologist shared a grave? Hashtag grave share. Hell yeah, you know my lyrics now, very nice. Hell yeah. I don't know if you can tell this, I'm a little bit of a short guy, you know. I went to the doctor recently and he told me that for my size, I am medically obese. Yeah, I was like, damn, I think you just called me medically short and fat, that hurts. It hurt because medically I was there to get my antidepressants refilled. It's tough for short guys. Toughest, of course, dating apps. A lot of profiles that say, must be meter 80, you know. I always think that's sad, you know. I think the most feminist thing you can do is date a man who looks up to you, all right? I think the final level of feminism is using a date as an armrest, all right? I was talking to a female friend of mine, and she said the most common reason women want to date taller men is because they see them as better protectors. That makes sense. I get that, right? But I also read that, statistically speaking, the number one risk to a woman's safety is the man that she's dating. What? What are we doing? Ladies, date a short, easily defeatable man. Sure, like a big Rottweiler, that's like the best protective dog. But a small Chihuahua has never accidentally killed its owner. Worst case scenario, just like a small dog, we might hump your leg. That's true. Thank you guys so much. I've been Dan Belkin.